Hello, crafty friends. This is Jen, and thank you for joining me today. Today I will be making 2 Christmas cards and a Christmas tag, all using Spellbinders Large Die of the Month for October 2024, which is this really great die set to make different kinds of slippers with legs. And the slippers you can make into spring animals, Christmas animals, Halloween animals. So it's a very versatile die set, which is really great. To start, I am creating an A2 size card using a bright red cardstock card base, and this cardstock is Fawn Tomato, and I love this cardstock. It's so bright, so vibrant, and I've die cut all my pieces, and I just used scrap cardstock that I had on hand. I usually try and save all my scrap because you just never know when you're going to need little pieces, and the scrap cardstock was perfect for everything that I wanted to do here today. First of all, I want to apologize for the glaring light in the background of my glass worktop. I had forgotten to turn the lamp off, so I apologize for that. To start with, I am coloring in some of my die cuts. So I'm just coloring in the flesh colored for the legs. And for that, I used a Basil Basics peach colored cardstock that I just had scrap of in my bin. And I just added a little bit of Copic marker to it to give it some shading. I also found this really neat Christmas paper that was like a plaid kind of looking paper in my stash. And I used that for the pajama bottom legs. It kind of reminded me of pajama bottoms that my mom wears. So I was like, perfect. That looks just like jammy pants. And so I'm just adding some more detail onto my die cuts. I'm making reindeers for the slippers. And this die set, you can make Santas, penguins, reindeer, monster feet, rabbits. And it comes with all the little accessories too that you need. So now that I've added detail to my reindeer, I'm going to add the nose. And I got this idea from Nicole Spohr, who had this really great idea of adding a white nose to the red nose, and then but reversing it so that the white shows through the little shine part on the red nose. So thank you for that great idea, Nicole Spohr. So I'm just adding this all together and making sure that I have it centered so that not a lot of white shows underneath. And I'm adding a little bit of like blush to the face of the reindeer. You can't really see it, unfortunately. And now I'm adding little pink backgrounds to the ears. And my glue that I'm using is LINECO Neutral pH Adhesive, and I use a fine tip bottle that I get both from KarenBerniston.com. And I'm just adding a little bit of detail to the ears using Copic R11 marker. And now I'm going to add my antlers. So not everything I die cut I colored in with Copic markers. I just added a little bit of detail into this. For the slipper, I used YG25 to add some shadow to the ribbed top to these slippers. And the neat part with these slippers is Spellbinders created a little piece to go on the back, which I'm coloring in right now. And I will show you in just 1 second what I mean by that. So I'm adding G07, just a little bit of a darker green to the bottom of the slipper. And now I'm going to glue it onto the leg piece. And the leg piece actually has embossed lines to show you which side is which. And then this is the back piece. So it actually makes it look like a foot is inside the slipper because it adds this little back piece. Isn't that neat? That's such a great idea. So now I can add my reindeer to the front of my slipper. And I'm just adding glue to the reindeer head and then centering that where I want it to go. And then there's this little piece for the rubber sole that goes onto the bottom of the slipper. And I just die cut that from black scrap cardstock. And then I'm adding glossy accents to the nose to make it shiny. And I also added glossy accents to the eyes as well on the reindeers. Now, I did speed up the second slipper because I just did the exact same thing as I did on the first one, so that they were exactly the same. And this was such a great idea for like a die set. I'm really glad that I really highly recommend, I should say, joining either the large or small die of the month. They also have a hot glimmer die of the month, or not die of the month, but plate of the month. They have a butter press. They have stamp. It's so incredible. Go and check out their clubs. They have all different kinds that you can join in. And they have a whole caboodle where they have everything. You can get it all. And I love the Spellbinders die sets because they come up with every little bit that you could possibly need to make a really unique kind of card. They really go into a lot of detail with their dies, which I really love. So just adding the finishing touches onto my second reindeer. And then I can glue that onto the next slipper. And then just like the first slipper, we're going to add the black sole on, and then I'm going to add glossy accents to the nose and to the eyes of my little reindeer slippers. I do love that this die set wasn't just for Christmas, that you could use it to make like a kid's monster slippers or to make Easter slippers. I really like that. I like when they're versatile and you can use them for more than one thing. So I did let that dry for about half an hour. And now I'm going to glue these onto my background. Now I'm just moving these up because I want to add the little sentiment strip that came with this die set, which says warm and cozy wishes. So I'm just figuring out where I want to put my little legs. And now I'm going to glue those down with my LINECO glue. And I'm adding quite a lot of glue because I just want to make sure that they stay down. There's a lot of pieces that need to glue down, so just making sure I have extra glue on there. And for these ones, I didn't use my craft block to hold the legs down. I'm going to press down with my hands because the craft block only presses down a little bit, and I needed to make sure that the ears got pressed down and the antlers and everything else was pressed down well. So I just used my hands this time. So I'm just checking to make sure that the glue went all the way to where I needed it and trimming off the excess that I didn't need. So to die cut the sentiment strip, I unfortunately don't have a way to video where my die cutting machine is and my paper trimmer. I have a very small office, so I just don't usually show that. But what I did was added a piece of white cardstock on top of the red cardstock, and then what it did was push some of the white paper through so it showed up almost white where it says warm and cozy wishes. And that's a neat little trick that I learned from Karen Berniston. She has some die cuts that make a crosshatch edge, and you can use that. So if you used white, like on top of red, for example, then all the crosshatch edging around the front of the card would have white embossed into it, which is kind of neat. So that's what I did with the sentiment strip. Now I'm just adding some white gloss lines to my little reindeer for the eyes and the nose, and I'm just gluing in my pattern paper on the inside of my card. Eventually I will put a sentiment in when I go to use the card. And there's our first card done. So this is the one with the legs and everything else. But you can use this die set in different ways, which I want to show. So for this one, we're not going to use the slippers. We're just going to use the little heads. And I thought it would be neat to use Spellbinders Christmas Sweater Background. And it's a glimmer hot foil background plate. And I'm going to do this on an A2 size card. So I'm just making up my card base. And it's a heavyweight 110 pound cardstock, 110 pound cardstock, sorry. And I used that holographic glitter foil to go onto the background and that pretty blue paper. And the blue paper is just a 60 pound Michaels style cardstock that I picked up. But that background just looked so perfect, and it has that circle in the center, so you have a place to put like a die cut or a sentiment. So for this one, I die cut a circle from My Favorite Things. It was like a inside outside stitched circle set. So I die cut that circle from white cardstock, and I decided to use the little penguins. And for that, I'm just again using scraps cardstock that I have in my stash, and I die cut the heads from black and the little faces from white cardstock, and I'm just gluing those on. And these little faces, they are so adorable. And you have your choice of making ear muffs, or you could make a little winter toque, or you could have a Santa hat. So there's different options. So these are their little beaks, and for that I used YR09 and then YR68. And then I went in by accident with YR7, realized that it was too dark, it was not the color that I was hoping for, and then grabbed the right color, which was YR04. And I just kind of went over that other piece a little bit to lighten it up. And now I can glue my little beaks onto the little penguins. Now for this, I have this decorating chalk. And I'm going to, to be honest, I can't even remember the store that I bought it from. I've had it so long. I actually bought this when I started scrapbooking back in 2004. So that's how long I've had that chalk for. But it worked out perfect for making the little rosy cheeks on my penguins. And I decided for one penguin I was going to do the little fuzzy earmuffs. And I die cut the band from a light pink cardstock, and then I die cut the little fuzzy earpieces from white cardstock, and I'm going to color those in with Copic markers. At first I was going to leave it white, but I wanted to add some bright color to it. So I'm using RV09, and I'm just stippling this on so it kind of still has that fuzzy look to it. And now I'm going in with RV06. And again, still stippling, still trying to stipple and blend together so it still kind of looks fuzzy. And then last but not least, I'm going in with RV02. And then giving that a final blend. And now I can glue that onto my little penguin's head. They're just so adorable. And I just want to make sure that I have good placement, so I'm just double checking that that's on there correctly. I'm only adding a little bit of glue, so I want to make sure I have that pressed down well. And so for the second penguin, I decided to go with the Santa hat. But first I'm adding some shine lines to my penguin, to the beak and to the head. And you can see how I'm going to add those to the card. So the Santa hat comes with the white brim and the white little pom-pom to go on the end. And I wanted to add a little bit of shading, so I went in with R24 for this Santa hat. And then just add a little bit of glue to the top of the penguin's head, and then add the hat on. And then I'm just adding a dab of glue to add the little pom-pom to the end of the hat. And then I am going to add some shading to the brim of the hat, the white brim, and then the pom-pom using N0 Copic marker. And I stippled onto the pom-pom so it kind of looks a little bit fuzzy. And then added my shine lines to the beak and to the head of the penguin. And now I'm going to glue those onto my card. I also decided to add a little sentiment to the front, and I used Lawn Fawn's little banners and the winter wavy sayings. And I'm just gluing those down, making sure that I get the headband of my earmuffs. And now I can stamp my sentiment onto my little banner. So I'm using this great static powder from Simon Says Stamps, and then the winter wavy sayings. And I thought the winter wishes worked really well with this card. Excuse my head. Making sure I have good placement. And I'm using VersaMark ink and white embossing powder to add my sentiment on. These are great little containers for embossing powder. I have 4 of them for different color embossing powders. Unfortunately, the little hook broke off the top of my lid, so my spoon gets shoved into my embossing powder and I have to carefully take it out with my tweezers every time. So I'm just going to heat emboss that with my heat gun. And I usually give it a wipe down too after I'm done to remove any excess static powder. And we're just going to glue that onto the front of my card. And this is just a simple card, but look how cute that is. Lastly, I wanted to add some glossy accents to their beaks to give them a little bit of shine. And I'm just adding that little bit on there, and then I use my tweezers just to clean up any little excess that might have gone over the edge. And there's our second card done. So for the third thing that we're going to do today is we're going to make a Christmas tag. So this just goes to show just how versatile this die set is. It can be used for so many different things. For this, I used a My Favorite Things tag builder. And I'm just adding the pieces on as I go. And I decided to go with like a green, red, and white. And for this one, I'm going to use the Santa that comes with the Spellbinders Large Die of the month. And I just decided to add all these like different circles to the background to really make the Santa pop and add some detail to the card, or to the tag, I should say. And the tag builder comes with all the little things that you need to make a tag. It's a really neat little set. So I used a white background. And I'm just going to set that aside while we make our Santa. So again, I use the same Basil Basics Peach cardstock for the Santa face, and adding the little black piece to the back for the eyes. And the die set comes with what you need to have the beard. And then I added the little nose on top of that. And it's like the reindeer nose just shrunk down. So there's the Santa hat, but this time instead of a lighter red to add some detail to the hat, I decided to go in with a darker red Copic color. So once I get the brim and the pom-pom on, then I decided to go in with my R29. And I'm just adding some shadow to the hat. I didn't mind the lighter red color, the R24, but I do really like the R29. It made it kind of stand out more. And then I went in with N0 to add shadow to the hat. This time I didn't stipple the pom-pom. I just added some shadow to it. Now I did go in with E50 around the beard of Santa. And then I thought that was a little too yellowy. So I decided to go in with the E40, which is a brick white. And it's kind of hard to see in the video, but you will see it a little more in the final picture. Now I wanted to add some detail to Santa's face, so I used E11. And this was just to add some dimension and shadow to Santa's face. And then I used E00 to blend that all in. And then I went in carefully to do the mouth so that I didn't get it onto the white beard part. I did want to add some rosy cheeks to Santa and a little bit of pink to the nose. And I did start with the R11, but then I did decide it wasn't dark enough and I went in with the R20. So it kind of stood out a little bit more. And now I can add my hat to Santa's head. And then I decided to add a little shine to Santa's nose and eyes. Now you could add glossy accents to the eyes if you wanted to. I didn't do that in this case. So I'm just adding Santa to the front of my tag. And just using my LINECO neutral pH adhesive. And then carefully adding that on. And you can see that these little faces would be perfect for that size of tag. And then you could really use the reindeer. You could use Santa. You could use the penguin. You could even make the bunny into a Christmas one. I'm just using some green ribbon that I have to add to the top of the tag. And I'm just trimming that down. And then I decided it needed something around the edges of the green. So I went in with my white jelly pen and just added some lines to go around the outside of the tag. But I thought, my favorite things has little tiny sentiments that you could use and they have Christmas ones. And I thought that would be kind of neat to do white embossing with the little sentiments and do it around the edge of the tag. So I might have to save that for another video and see how that looks. And I didn't really care whether my lines were straight or even. It was just to add like a little bit of decoration to the outside of the tags. And there we go. So we're all done. So this just shows that, you get a die set and there's all different kinds of ways that you can use it. Cards, tags. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.